You going to work? Mm-hmm. That sucks. Well, have a nice day. All right. I'm going to head out. I'm about to start my second YouTube channel. It's going to be called Walk and Talk with Jimmy. Thank you. Thank y'all for clicking on another video. Walk and Chat with Jimmy. So, last video I told everybody I was writing a book. Thank you for those that sent a few inquiries and words of aspiration, words for support. I thought it was really thoughtful, and I just want to say I appreciate it. It means a lot to me. The process is going really, really great so far. I wanted to share what that experience has been like, what I've learned as I go through this process, what hurdles, and hopefully some inspiration for if there's a project in your life that you're thinking about starting soon, to encourage you just to hit start, just to do it. So people have been telling me to write a book for a while. You know, people I work with always say, hey, you got really good stories. My wife had been encouraging me to write a book for a while, more along the lines around telling my story and feeling like that I have a story that it's worth for people to hear. And well, like that's not the intent of this initial project that I'm launching so far. It's more of a manuscript of the things that I've learned as I approach 40 years here really shortly. It's gonna be a manuscript about things that I learned. Hey man, how you doing, boss?
How you doing?
Good, man. Talking to the YouTube channel this morning. All right. Anyway, it's more around different things I've learned in my 40 years. It is something that I'm inspired by, and I'm inspired to do. Something that I'm extremely passionate about is being able to impact the next generation, particularly my kids and the grandkid that I'm going to bring into the world. And if I can make it just 1% better, that's better than not taking any action at all. So I had to think about the reasons why I wanted to write a book, and not writing it for sales. I don't know who would buy it just based off not knowing me. And I think if that's the motivation, it's really, really hard probably to get inspired to start a project like that. But hey, some people do have that as their main motivation. Maybe they need to raise funds for something that's really calling and speaking to them at a different capacity. But for me, that wouldn't be the call to action. That wouldn't be the thing that motivated me to finish. So I first wrote down a couple book brainstorming ideas. I ended up landing on 3 that I was really, really passionate about, things that spoke to me. I'm not going to give all of them, but the one that I ultimately landed on was this manuscript of lessons that I've picked up as I've navigated life, and the things that's helped me arrive where I am. And I'll leave that up to the readers. I'm very vulnerable and transparent about what I'm thinking about, what's next for me, and where I ultimately want to go. But as I said in my video before, there's a lot of people that make content after they've been ultimately successful. There's very little that talk about the struggle and journey while they're on it. And I just want to be able to document and share some of those experiences. And, you know, if we fast forward 10 years and I'm super successful, I would love to be able to reflect back on these moments, and hopefully I've helped bring a small army of successful people along the way that have decided to subscribe and tune into this content. But when I started this process and I ultimately arrived on this manuscript, I had to think about it as like, I'm not writing a book, but I'm writing chapters. And then, so I went through and I wrote down all these different ideations. I did my brainstorming ideas, and I came up with like 20 chapter titles that I would love. And I don't think I'm going to use all the chapters. We're probably going to land on around, 18 chapters, to say the least, when this book is done. But I thought it really did help me kind of put the first thing down. It was the first step to get me on the path to complete the thing that I had set out to do. And I don't care what your first step is. Your first step can be as small as something as writing down the book title you want to do. It can be something as small as writing down the name of the project. But you got to take some action, because an idea in your head is worth nothing. Everybody has ideas. In my mind, when I sing, I sound like Brian McKnight. But I could assure you, I do not sound like Brian McKnight when those words come out. The only way that I could be as good as Brian McKnight singing is by diligent practice, and also going back in time and having God touch me with that amazing gene. But that's kind of how you get good at something. You got to take the first step. You got to start somewhere. For me, getting started on this project was writing down the chapter names to my book. When I released my first album, it was just writing down the first song and getting in the mic and recording something. But if you want to start, you got to take action, and you got to be willing to take that first step. So after I went through and I wrote down the chapters, I started thinking about what were some of the most important lessons that I learned in my life. And this was just an ideation process. I spent an hour just thinking about everything I learned and who I learned it from, whether it was from my grandparents, things that I learned at work, things that I learned from teachers, educators, from my wife, from my parents, siblings. And if you're open to receiving what the universe has tons of lessons to teach us if you open your eyes and observe the world around you. And so I thought about all the lessons that I learned, and I was easily able to come up with 30 life-defining lessons within about a year. But 30 life-defining lessons in about a matter of 45 or so minutes. And well, maybe not everyone's able to recall from their memories or think at that same pace. Maybe you think a lot faster. Maybe it takes you a little bit longer to come up with those ideas. We all have the ability to get out and just go on a stroll and be alone with our thoughts. Talk them out loud to ourselves where nobody can hear you. Grab a YouTube channel, or don't put it out there. Grab your iPhone, shoot yourself just walking and talking, and play it back to yourself as you're going to sleep. See if it makes sense. But you got to start somewhere. You got to take action. So anyway, I digress. Go through that. And so fast forward, I start writing my book about a week or so ago. And I'm actually now starting getting into stories. And it's no longer about writing chapters. It's about writing stories and expanding upon these lessons. And as I'm writing stories, more and more lessons are coming. And so I've identified, as I've already written 10,000 words. I don't know how long this book's going to be. I'm expecting between 45,000 or so, maybe 60,000 words. But I've already been able to identify a handful more lessons than 10,000 words in. And I'm just going to keep writing, right? So they're starting something and they're finishing it. I don't know when I'm going to finish this project. But since it's for me, I don't have any expectations, and all I know is that I want to make impact. My goal is to have this project finished before my oldest son begins his first year of college. And that way he can have a manuscript that he can navigate as he start his first year of adulthood, his first year of being an independent man and an independent thinker, and starting to shape his own path and figure out his own impact on the world. Yeah, it's another beautiful day here in Maryland. So I'm just getting a chance to get out, enjoy some sunshine and the wind. The other thing I'm learning about writing on this book writing journey is that there are a plethora of resources at your fingertips to get started on your project. So when I first started about writing a book, I've had a subscription to Masterclass for about 3 to 4 years, and I sparingly used it, but I went through and I watched a couple other writers that was listed there. And I don't want to do a plug for masterclass. It's not what this is. So I'm not going to necessarily name the specific courses. But when I look around, you have YouTube, where if you just Google getting started on book writing, there are so many people that have shared their story, their experiences, their pitfalls, and their failures. And that was a place where I found inspiration, and a place where it gave me the courage to get started. The other resource, not everybody has thousands of dollars of disposable income laying around to market and promote their projects. So social media platforms make this really easy. I don't have a mega following on social media, but I would say between all my different platforms, J-Will Studios, and my personal social media, I'm probably connected to 6,500 people. Way more than I would ever be connected to or able to have reached to years ago. And that's for free. That's just free me putting out what I'm doing, sharing it, and seeing who's interested to support, who's interested to read that story. I've also found a lot of the advancements in AI has made the editing aspect of writing so much easier. The writing process when I was in college, I would just write a bunch, just get it all out, get my structure. After I spent a couple hours brainstorming, it allowed me just to write really freely and flow mind. I wasn't caring about grammar and all that good stuff. But then I would spend just as much time, if not more, going back to edit those videos, going back to edit what I wrote over and over. Just keep checking and making sure, reading it over and over to make sure that I got everything right so it wouldn't impact my grade. It's not a very conducive writing experience for somebody who's not writing all the time, that's not an English professor. And listen, my English is far from perfect. I work on it, but I know people and I understand business. English is and I take no qualms in understanding people and knowing business and not being an English major. But Grammarly and ChatGPT has some phenomenal built-in tools that can save you thousands of dollars on editors. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good. But thousands of dollars on editors, hundreds of hours on time. It has really helped me fly through the first 10,000 or so words of this book just by being able to freely write, get my structure down, and having Grammarly swiftly now be able to clean up some of the structures. I go back and reread and make a few tweaks, and the ability to keep the edits in the same tone, even by saying, hey, I don't want to be super proper, right? Like, this book, I wanted this be in my own voice, but I also don't want it really hard to read. And like for it to still be able to write something that's in my voice and make these edits is actually really incredible. So as I do this, it's actually pretty interesting. So I like to walk outside a lot. And I'm always on the phone call at work. If I never take a WebEx sitting down unless if I absolutely have to. So I need to be looking at something. I don't want to be that was probably weird for you, but exactly. That's what the WebEx viewers will see if I'm trying to pinch zoom on something small. So I need to be on something, if I'm looking at a presentation or looking at numbers, I'm working in that type of capacity. Yes, I am at my computer. But if it's just a conversation that I don't have to take notes for, I'm not responsible for taking notes, I'm contributing brain power, this is my preferred mode of operation. Thinking and walking. Fantastic. But to walk around and work, I've been doing this for, 15 years. As AirPods became a thing, like, I don't know how long AirPods have been out, but those are my favorite thing. Pop my AirPods in my ear. I'm on WebExes and calls a couple hours a day. And I probably get about 25,000 steps in a day from doing this. So it's a great, healthy benefit, but it's also where I do my best ideation. It's where I have my best conversation, is just walking and talking. I don't even know how much I'm going to edit these videos. I haven't decided when I'm going to upload them or share them. I'm thinking about, again, just documenting my work as I go through this book, and maybe I do it after the book is done, but then that's prolonging the impact. But at the same time, I also don't want to be posting too infrequently and having cliffhangers, and people are like, where the heck's the next video? And I have nothing there. That's assuming that it's going to be that great. I have no idea how this is going to be received. People might just be like, who the heck does this guy think he is walking and talking like he's somebody important. Well, let me tell you something. We're all important. All of our time is valuable. We all have, it's a finite number of hours. And I'm a person to try to make the most of all of them. I'm beginning to shift my perspective and protecting my time more than my money. That's something I've learned over the last 5 years. And if I would have learned it when I was 17, I would have probably conquered the world. No, probably not conquered the world, but definitely been a lot further along the journey than I am now. And it's not that I'm complaining about where I am now. I'm very happy, I'm very blessed. But I'm a person of deep reflection, and I'm just thinking about, where can I take myself the next 40 years? And one way to do that is reflecting on, candidly, the things you did really well in your life and the things that you would like to do different to avoid those things, mistakes in the future. So, yeah, I'm pretty happy about that. And we'll see. Let's see what happens next. All right. Well, thank y'all for clicking on this video again. We'll see you soon.